Thanks. Welcome to our September edition of our Kentucky K-12 CIO EdTech Leaders webcast. I'm David Couch with the Kentucky Department of Education. Thanks for joining us this morning. We do this every month. If you're new to our staff or to our district staff or one of our KETS partners, this is something that we do on a monthly basis to share some information that's going on at the state level and federal level, but also at the local district level as well. So it's a two-way street. Everyone has the ability to directly communicate. No one is muted on here, so districts can unmute and speak, or they can put it in the chat. Obviously, we also have Go Soapbox questions that we have just unlocked that we would like you to respond to that we show throughout the webcast. And those help us in making decisions, by the way, and give us a good kind of a heartbeat of the field. So I really ask that you take some time and fill those out. We've also attached a summary and highlights of last month. Thank to Lisa Moore for doing that for us every month. So please take a look at that. If you did not participate last month and want a kind of a written high-level summary of what we discussed, it has some good information in it, as we do every month. And we also post this document along with a copy of the webcast and at the media portal every month too, to kind of help people go back through time. In fact, for our new staff members, and I always encourage them to take a look not only at the master plan, but the most recent webcasts that we've done with districts over the past 6 to 12 months to quickly come up to speed. And by the way, any vendor partners or vendors that contact me, I always encourage them to go there to take a look at what's going on, because those identify our priority. So thanks everyone for joining us today. I'll start out with talking about our new interim commissioner, KD commissioner, who starts on the 3rd of September, Robin Kinney. Known Robin for a long time, for decades. Robin actually grew up in the Ashland area and then moved later in her life to the Franklin County area and went to Western Hills High School and eventually to law school, and has been our chief financial officer 2 different times, and she's our current chief financial officer. And most of you know I try to keep a good relationship with all the chief financial officers over the time in KDE, and I meet with her monthly over the past past years that she's been here. Her daughter was a golfer, scholarship golfer for the University of Kentucky, and who is now a Kentucky K-12 teacher. So definitely much like my family of teachers and my mom and children, Robin shares that as well. Here in the Sauer building in Frankfort, we're all on the same floor. The financial staff and the technology staff are here on the 4th floor. We're side by side. The rest of the KD offices are on the 5th floor. So definitely have a working relationship, not with her, but her staff as well. She's been a big KET supporter all of her time that she's here, and she has been very helpful for us getting the increased additional budget request that I'll talk about here in just a bit. She has been one of the biggest champions of making sure that KETS has a good opportunity to get increased funding in the upcoming legislative session. So I couldn't have been happier, be honest with you, with the interim commissioner position that's been announced. And it's a heavy responsibility along with her existing responsibilities, which I suspect what she'll do is she'll have some folks help her with that chief financial officer role as she steps into the interim commissioner role for probably the next 5, 6, 7 months until a KD commissioner is identified and put in place. We also have some new news. We have Brian Spellman. Brian, I'll bring your camera up. Brian has recently joined the Office of Education Technology leadership team. I believe Brian's first day was Monday. Right, Phil?
Right.
And what role will Brian be playing for us, Phil?
Brian is my assistant director, and you all may know Brian, recognize Brian from his years with KET, Kentucky Education Television. Hi, Brian. So we're certainly happy to have him. He's also been a very strong supporter of technology projects and efforts that we've had in school districts for years, and also a very strong and active role player in SCLP. So he has a lot of history with us. He's been our, I guess, technical liaison to KET for quite a while. So welcome, Brian.
Thanks, Brian, for joining us. And fellow Woodford Countyan
Yep.
is Brian, a grad.
We won't-
Brian, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining our team. You've been here 3 days, not run out the door yet. So actually, it's just 2 days. You've not even made third day yet. So we got 2 days. You came back from yesterday. So yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks for joining us. Happy to have you. Do I have Neil Arnett available? Neil is president of the Kentucky Society for Technology and Education, appreciate all the folks over the years that play that role in that leadership position. We've always strove to have a good relationship with KISTE. I think it's one of the strongest relationships between Department of Education and an organization like that in the United States. And I appreciate all the folks just not to step up in the role that Neil is in, besides leading the effort in Pikeville Independent, but all the folks on that staff that help Neil from districts that volunteer part of their time. So want to give Neil an opportunity to kind of give a plug for the upcoming fall event that starts on November 10th, Veterans Day. So I'll be wearing Veterans Day stuff when I attend it, and then the spring event. So Neil.
Yeah, thanks. Like you said, we've always valued the partnership with KDE and KETS and the KISTE, all of the volunteers that come from all the districts across the state to make up the KISTE board. Being an all-volunteer group, except for our rock star Lorena, who is the one who really makes all the dreams come true when it comes to KISTE. We do a lot of different things in the background, and without your all support, it'd be really difficult to do that as a group with all volunteers. So November 10th, like you said, is our fall event. That's going to be at Central Bank Center again in Lexington. William Pierce is vice president this year. William is with JCPS, and he's vice president this year, and vice president is in charge of the fall event. So I won't steal too much of his thunder, but he's got some announcements that are coming out in the next few days. Probably coming week, we'll be seeing some announcements about that. We've got to save the date out there, so be saving the date for November 10th. I will say it is specifically going to be a workshop environment around cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. He has a really great lineup there planned, and we know those are top of mind issues that we're all dealing with across the entire state and across K-12 EdTech in general. So that workshop's going to be really good with some actionable items and plans that we can take back to districts. So be marking your calendars for November 10th. The other thing that's open is our call for presenters, as you can see behind me. Call for presenters is open through November the 1st. So make sure you're getting your presentations submitted. We always have incredible presentations from our KETS folks, as well as CIOs, technicians, DLCs, library media specialists, classroom teachers. Last year, we had just over 325 presentations in a 2.5-day period. That a vast majority of those were done by rock stars in Kentucky K-12 EdTech. So we're excited for this year's presentations. We'll have 300 plus again across that 2.5 days. We will be at the Kentucky International Convention Center for the first time in a very, very long time, and I'm really excited about that. It was exactly 20 years ago that I got to be an STLP engineer at the Kentucky International Convention Center for KTLC and received the Mary Grace Yeager Scholarship from KATC back in the day, as it was known. And so I really appreciate the entire group, KISTE, as well as KETS, that's helped me get into this role. And so we'll be glad to see everybody's presentations by November the 1st, get those submitted, as we're excited to read all the awesome things that you guys are doing and are willing to share. Thanks.
Thanks, Neil. And just for our OET staff that are new, there are 2 events that is all hands on deck, the expectation you're there. One is the STLP events that we do, but also this event that we do. This is a wonderful event for our staff and for district CIO, especially if you're new. The collaboration and the fellowship with them is awesome as well. Incredibly well done. I really enjoyed last year's fall event. You added some pieces there, like digital learning coaches. We're in on that, and really well run event. Very just not one of it, but the added value and the meaningful was wonderful. So I'll be there, but just so you know, Neil, I'll be wearing some of my military stuff, given it's Veterans Day. So And any other veterans, go ahead. I'm sure they'll be fine with you wearing the stuff there as you're celebrating that day along with the fall event. And then the spring event is just awesome, and that's just for our staff and for CIOs and for our partners. It's just a celebration as well. So thanks, Neil, for that, and I strongly encourage you once again to participate in those events. Marty, I'm going to bump you up. I know we were going to talk about the funding, but I'm going to bump you up since you are. I'm assuming you're still there, Marty, on site at the Capitol. Marty Park still there? Marty, there we go. We got on-site reporter Marty Park at the Capitol, which I'll be joining you soon. We have coding at the Capitol today. I sent out the program and presentation by our awesome Sean Jackson, who represents us with computer science and IT Academy. So Marty, tell us what's going on over there and what do you expect to get out of it?
Awesome. Thank you, David. Let me do just a quick check. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. So today is a full day at the Capitol. We have 12 school districts who have sent students to represent computer science learning across the state of Kentucky. The morning kicked off with an awesome presentation from Advanced Kentucky, Senator Givens, as well as Code.org in partnership. And then we'll move into student demonstrations throughout the day. And then later this afternoon, actually starting at 11 o'clock, there is a hearing to learn more about computer science growth and advancement across the state of Kentucky, specifically, or especially in industry, but as well as our public schools. And then this evening, or not this evening, but later in the afternoon, there's a roundtable event where a lot of policy and decision makers are discussing opportunities to advance computer science learning in our schools, and what would it take for the next steps. There's a lot of action here at the Capitol, so I'm sure that hopefully you can still hear me. There's a lot going on.
We can.
Okay, good.
And Marty, you and I will be part of the roundtable that's this afternoon, and I know what Sean present, but also the big event is just walking around interacting with the students. And once again, this is a win-win. We've seen what they do, and what legislators seeing that we do as we're asking for additional budget requests as we are while they're there.
That's exactly right. And a couple big storylines for us in our public schools, specifically with computer science, is number one, there's been investment in computer sciences. We have our funded, dedicated funding in our Computer Science and IT Academy. And that has gone really, really well in terms of growth with student participation. We continue to see more and more students participating and taking computer science courses, which is fantastic. We have more credentialed and permitted computer science teachers than ever before. And so that funding has gone into that. And that's been a great plug and push for us. And so the discussions will continue on how do we increase that. Now, what we know as well is that a comprehensive approach to computer sciences, not just in high school, not just focusing on 9 through 12 students, but that really starts the invitation early on in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. And we do that through a lot of our different programs, library media work, certainly student technology leadership program work, as well as digital learning coach work, all connect and touch on computer sciences. And that's what changes the invitation. We know that. And so the conversation will push around how do we take this larger comprehensive approach. And so it's an exciting conversation. We also know that without the basis of KETS, then our progression that we've seen and our growth year over year would not have been able to be realized and would not have taken place. And we can look at other states to see that. And so we have what it takes to continue to grow computer science learning across the state. And we continue to say, and this is the last point I'll make on this, but we have around 400 or so documented computer science jobs in the state of Kentucky right now that are unfilled. And, we want those to be filled with Kentucky students as they graduate and leave and get into the industry. And instead of reaching out to other states and bringing in students from other states, we know that we can grow our own here.
Marty, one of the things I mentioned today, and I don't get a chance, is besides the traditional computer science, I'll be mentioning the STLP program, the Student Technology Leadership Program, as a pathway. When I was presenting last Tuesday to a legislative committee, which I'll talk about, is one of the folks presenting with me was one of our very first STLP students in 1994, and Carrie Welch is her name. And Carrie, I just happened to be speaking with a group of 10 folks, and she said it changed her career path. So much like, you don't have to have a formalized one, much like a teacher I had in Johnson County in the 70s changed my career path into the computer science arena. There's a variety of methods that do that. Obviously, a more official kind of computer science plan allows to do that, but there's a lot of tools in the toolbox that help us do that. I know one of the things they also talk about that you sent me a point about is, we always had, I don't know if we're still a leader with Girls Who Code clubs. We always had a leadership position of that in the United States, and we're now up to 34% of the students taking computer science courses are now female, which is a good number that you sent to me this morning. And I think 92% of our districts offer computer science course, and the other 8% is doable. Of our computer science plan, the only thing I think that we don't do is there's legislation or law or reg that requires everyone to take a computer science course. I think that's the only thing I remember in our computer science plan. And that follows kind of the national approach that doesn't have that in place. So I just mentioned those plug points, and we'll hit up on those today. But just wanted you where I'm going to hit STLP. Why I got you here,
yep,
and we got some of a good connection, is you were going to give a little bit of update in the affordable connectivity program that districts need to be aware of. And that's a little bit topping down the agenda, but I just thought I'd take advantage of it now while you're on the site reporting before you go back inside.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, so we'll continue to plug the affordable connectivity program. It is a program that's working for us in Kentucky. It's at a point now where it needs reaffirmed in Congress, and that funding that folks need to, our voted officials, our elected officials in Congress need to hear that program is a program that we want to see continue. And so if you're a chief information officer and an EdTech leader across the state, please check out that section on the monthly regional agenda topic that our field staff lead those conversations on, and check out that section. There's a website called savetheacp.org, and it's just like other funding sources that we've seen in the past, where we need to do our job to make sure that we are heard. We know for sure in Kentucky specifically that our students having access to the internet when they leave us, when they leave our campuses, is vital. And we know it's an affordability issue. We've known that for a while. We've said that as loudly as we can. And so this program specifically is one that we've jumped on to help promote and ensure that we have as much participation as possible. We are hovering right now at 50% participation. Now, some of our districts are beyond that, and that's awesome. There's a little bit of inconsistency still on the workflow that parents are pushing to ensure that their application is successful, and there's some back and forth depending on the ACP rep that a parent gets into communication with. That's a work in progress still, but we have success. We're at 50% right now. Our target is 75% at the end of this school year. That's a goal for us. We think that's doable. We think that's achievable, but we want the funding source to continue at the federal level. And so savetheacp.org is a quick way to go let your voice be heard on that. We'll keep pushing and we'll keep talking about that and try to develop more efficiencies, David. But we know affordability is the target. That's the target, to ensure that students have connectivity when they leave our campuses. And that's what we'll continue to push on in terms of digital equity.
Thanks, Marty. Let's talk about next and thanks for joining us live. Awesome job with the live reporting there, Marty. The next topic I want to talk about is the funding for KETS and our additional budget request. If you just looked on your mobile device and looked down the agenda that we had, and then a summary of last month. We talked about this a little bit last month, but I've sent you an attachment. So please open both those attachments. I'm not going to go through those today, but here's the do task I do ask of you all is, first of all, take a look at the one pager that we are using, and I'd ask that you use it as well in your local discussions. And it's not like this is in stone here. If you see something that you would like added or changed or modified and the PDF version of it, please let me know. But, we really try to quickly talk about what CETS is, what we're requesting, why is it that we're requesting money. And, we've been great stewards of taxpayer funds throughout the years, especially with the CETS funds, but it has taken cuts in funding. Our original amount we started in 1992 was 19.5 million. And because the cuts were down to 15.4. So a big part of what we're trying to do here is raise and restore the cuts, but also go above that. So priority number one is to raise our cuts baseline to $30 million. That's priority one. Priority two is to get an additional 44 million above that. That could be used for a variety of things, including replacement of computers across the state, for example, have gone to end of life. So really the two priorities are, if I had to push for one or the other, is I put the CETS funding raised, and nearly all of you in your end of year, then we ask the top 5 things of what we've done well, what we can do better at, and what our goals should be. Talk about the importance of CETS funding. Well, this is a place that you all can play a big role in helping us restore the cuts and get cuts that get to funds that prepare us for the future. Also, at the very bottom of it, you'll notice that we talk about, besides why this budget request is so vital, and a lot of things we just talked about in the computer science and the data systems that they use and learning services they're providing, cybersecurity and cyber defense, and also the people side, because a big part of that chunk too of the 44 million is to beef up the people side. The CETS offers can be used as well for digital learning coaches and technicians, and so obviously that's something that we're at the point of needing. But what happens if this additional budget is not funded? And so I spent some time, what is stopped, what's going to come to a stop, and it will come to a stop, and what will be severely degraded, broken, or weakened if we do not get this budget increase. And so we reached that point with all these. And when I met with Representative Petrie and Representative Reed, those are the two top folks in the House that addressed the budget. We met with them, I think it was 3 weeks ago now. I gave this one pager, I gave our infographic, and the infographic is created mainly by the feedback we get in the digital readiness report and the TAR, along with some of the information that we got from Bright Bites. This is where all those come into play, and that were used for leverage of getting those types of items in play. And then meeting with them, I basically talked about the additional sheet that you see in Microsoft Word of here's the impact of certain things if we do not get funded. And once again, a more detailed part about why we need that funding. So I'd ask you once again to take a look at that. It prints on one page as well, front and back. If there's any kind of additional things that you recommend. So where we're at with it is the Kentucky Board of Education. I've met with the Kentucky Board of Education. I've met with 2 different groups of legislators, leaders, and I would tell you those meetings went as well as I could have hoped they would go. As far as making a priority. So the Kentucky Board of Education made it a top 6 priority. Some of the priorities ahead of us, ones they've had for quite some time. They're a lot bigger in finances. It's like all-day kindergarten and some transportation. But to make it a top 6, the Kentucky Board of Education is a very good place to be. This is where you want to be. And the discussion went well with the legislators, and we're providing that additional information that we have here to put in place. But I also tell you a key part of the formula in my 30 plus years is it takes the district part 2 for us to get these budget increases. We'll go in full court press and we're talking to everyone we can talk to, but the key part of that formula is there was someone at the district level or a few folks at the district level in the past that made a difference. And I've said this historically, Anderson County had Charlotte Wright. And Charlotte, went directly to her superintendent, Sonny Fentress, and then to her local legislator, and it made a difference of getting a funding increase many years ago. Marita Horn and Pikeville County Schools is the one that made a big difference at the end of 2000s, and not just with her superintendent, but with the governor at the time, to get a tremendous increase in funding. So the part here that I'm asking, and I've always asked, is you all play a role in getting this done. And the consequence of you not playing a role, to be honest with you, will be a reduction in the CATS offers. That's just the way it works. If you don't address the cost of living increases, and even when we do these bids, after 10 years, the folks bidding on it don't bid the prices they did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. They bid modern prices. At some point soon we'll be bidding the internet content management system. Not immediate, but that's in a year's time frame. It's either 2024 or 25 that has to be in place. Well, I guarantee you the prices that we got 10 years ago are not going to be the same prices in that bid response. On our Munis side, our financial management system has been wonderful, but it has a cost of living increase every year, around 5%. And there's the only way to keep on paying for those without additional budget request is to go into the CATS offers of assistance. And so it will with certainty start happening if we do not get the cuts restored in up to at least $30 million in CATS funding. So where can I find the one pager at? So it should be in what I sent this morning at 6:30. If you go to the agenda and you go and it gives a summary last month, there are two attachments that we're talking about. One is actually in a PDF form, and the other one is in a Word form. The PDF form is really truly one page. It's on the front page that, as best as can, talks about what CATS is, what's being requested, why is this vital, and what stops are severely impacted. And then there's another sheet that's a Microsoft Word document that goes in a little bit more detail that could be speaking points for you as well as you're talking about this with folks in your organization. So let's talk about the technique. My ask of you is to have this discussion at least with your superintendent and CFO. So when they are approached, they are already well versed in it and supportive of CATS and the increase of the baseline up to $30 million from the 15.4 that has been cut to right now. The other technique is obviously there's nothing that substitutes with also talking with legislators, and we'd ask that your superintendent talk to your legislator in support of it, and not just in kind of a passing terms, but very direct terms of the impact it makes if we do not get this funding, and obviously specifically to what you're doing education technology-wise, the difference it makes. But also, if all those make you uncomfortable or you're just not, don't want to do it, is because it's unpleasant to ask for money. It's not an easy kind of thing. But as I always say, a plan without funding is a hallucination. And so we're going to start hallucinating here if we do not get this funding. And so all the things you count on, and I see at the end of the year, we need CATS funding, we need it high. This is your chance to play a role, and we need you to play that role in this team effort. Obviously, here at KD, we're going full court press. Rob McKinney will go after it. I will. Other one on the OET team is going with the folks there. Is that this thing I'm going to with Coding at the Capitol? I'm taking a folder here to meet with legislators, to give them this one pager, to give them this detail points, to give them the timeline to show that the success we've had over the past 30 years and being a good investment, along with the infographic. And so part I'm asking you all is to do something similar with your superintendent. Make sure that word gets to the legislator, make sure someone contacts that. And as I give them two examples, sometimes it just takes one of you to do it. It takes a Charlotte Wright, a Marita Horn to do it. And don't count on others to do it. Please help us in this effort. So that's why if you have any suggestions, obviously you can modify these the way you want to, any way you want to put those in place to get to try to get us to get this on the radar screen of the legislators. And you have to do that now. The legislature is actually setting the budget right now. That's why we're meeting with them. That's why we're going full court press. They're not waiting until January or February. It's happening right now. And so that's the other key part of the timing is I'd ask you within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that'd be the max, is to actually approach them and make sure they understand the importance of that and continually try to send that message. And so that's my the talking points for it today. And so we have something that Go Soapbox question that asks if you will help us play that role. Obviously, we're doing it the best we can and trying to get that in place. So I'll go on to the next topic. Talking about the legislative meetings. I did meet with Representative Petrie and Reed, but also was a presenter at a fairly new established board the investment of information technology improvements and modernization. The Kentucky Department of Education was asked to be a presenter mainly because we are a model of success, and that was bluntly stated. We are a model of success on how to do this on large scale that perhaps other state agencies here in Kentucky could learn from and benefit from. Not that we can't get better and learn from others, but that was the main reason that we were asked, and that once again went about as well as I could ask for it to go in that presentation. To share the KETS message, the story of success, and also identify to that group of legislators the need for additional budget requests, which all of them received the same one-pager that you have along with the infographic and the timeline. So every group I'm in front of, I'm trying to share that, but also share our great story of why this has been a great investment over the past 30 years, and it will be a continued great investment going forward with that additional budget request. We covered the coding at the Capitol. I want to give you an update on the School Facility Construction Commission meeting. We met on September 6th. The KETS financial offers were approved by that group, by that board. So the official offers will now officially begin. But I do want to give a high five to the School Facility Construction Commission for the past 30 years. They have just been, you couldn't ask for a better partnership in an organization as they have been through the Kentucky Department of Education. And they're a tiny staff, but they have ensured that we have had, and think about it, of all the millions and probably billions of dollars that have been given out over the years and managed, there's not been not one, and one knock on wood, issue or discrepancy associated with that. And so I do want to be thankful of them for helping us champion that, for making sure folks that got the big eyes for that money, it stayed with KETS. It's a great use of taxpayer funds because it crosses fiscal years. Districts have 3 years to match the funds. We've never had a district not match the funds. Obviously allows us to cross fiscal years in what we're doing with the KETS projects, which typically they do instead of the typical model that's at the state and the federal level where you got to spend it all in a very short period of time before the calendar year ends, and you don't get good implementation of funds when you do that, bang for the buck like we do with the KETS offer. So, Mike, what is the first KETS offer going to be, or any other kind of words you want to mention about it?
It's $12 per ADA is the first offers, and we'll get going on those in the next couple of weeks. So districts should look for those notifications to come forward, and then the second offer will come after the first of the year, February, March timeframe, probably March timeframe of $9 for a total of $21 for the year.
Okay. Anything else around that topic we want to share?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you spoke to obviously the value of SFCC, and everybody's aware of the options of how to respond to accepting net offers or escrowing net offers. And again, it's been continued to be successful, and we'll continue to look at ways to increase the funding that's available through that program.
Okay. Thanks. Dee Dee, how about from our data systems? Want to give you a data systems update?
Yes, just a reminder, hopefully you already know this, school report card is coming, winding down. The collector items are open still. That completes the school profile report that's due by October 1. Those are all due by the end of September. We did extend until October 6th information for approving. We had some new items get added to this school report card early this week. That was around the equity data and the career technical education data, career pathway indicators. Information went out to superintendents, principals, and school report card contacts on all that information. We also keep that school report card resource page up to date with all communications. So we're winding down. School profile reports should be signed and available in the board offices by October 1. So we will have accountability data and assessment data reviewed in the SDRR application. That will happen next month. And we're right now expecting the school report card to go live for public on November the 1st or 2nd. So we're looking at that last week of October for district and media review right before it opens up. So keep that in mind and those dates as whether you're involved or whether you can, reach out and help people within your district to understand, the expectations there. We are continuing to work on a new school report card, so next year it will be all new. We've got an RFP that's in the works. We do have a couple things on the Infinite Campus. Just a reminder, if the no lock logic went into the last release, so if you have data extracts that you have created and they have no locks or something acts a little quirky, it might be a result of that. So take a look at that information that's gone out. Also, we have some Infinite Campus user group trainings that are going to be happening next week across the state. I think all 5 days there's a different location. The Cases training page has that information, the locations there. We do encourage folks that don't always get to travel to, to Frankfurt or to the interchange session to really take advantage of these regional training opportunities. KDE staff will be there with an update along with Infinite Campus trainers. That's all I really have, David. We did mention cybersecurity. We have a question out there about the Cybersecurity Awareness Month being this coming up. So we wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of that and helping to promote cybersecurity best practices. And Bob, if I just mentioned something that you plan on mentioning, I apologize.
Not at all. Go for it. I did. I can't pull it up, but looking at that question, it looks like I'm not sure that they're going to do that as a platform is in the lead with 65%, and yes has 24%. So a good quarter of districts say that yes, they are going to do that, and I think that's probably great news. And the focus this year, of course, you can focus on anything you want with cybersecurity, but the focus for some people is going to be on access and authentication. And that's just kind of what we've been through with MFA and strengthening passwords and that sort of thing. So obviously there's some strong ties there.
Thanks, Dee Dee and Bob. I did want to give a plug. I want to circle back to School Facility Construction Commission. I want to mention 2 people in particular. It's only 2 people on their staff, I believe. It's a organization that not only does our CATS offers, but does all the things related to School Facility Construction Commission. Chelsea Couch is the executive director of SFCC, and Christy Russell has been there as far as I think 30 years, but at least a couple of decades, 2 decades at least. And so I appreciate Christy Russell and Chelsea for all they do with this, the CATS offers. I meant to mention them by name. Just a reminder, and I know this will be covered in the regional events as well, is your annual Technology Activity Report, TAR, that we get through Munis and Digital Readiness Survey. It was due 15 September, and as I mentioned, that is key part of information that we use for a variety of things, including the one-pager that we put together. And anytime we have a talking point with legislators, we use that kind of information along with KD leaders. So it plays a big role of importance for us that helps you all directly and indirectly. Bob, we want to spend a little time on the multi-factor authentication. We've done a good job across state. I know KD agency has deployed that across all offices for a bit. And I was asking the other day is how many have used the app, how many use the text, and how many use just the phone call. And so I can remember something like 75% do the app, maybe 20% do the text, and maybe 5% do the phone. But there was a message that came out that was confusing to folks, and very short notice had to change over from using 2 of those, the text and the phone, and said you got to go to the Authenticator app across it and eliminate those 2 in a very short notice. And so that was not, while that may be good reasons for that, because the cyber criminals have found a way to dupe people and get in through that, which is going to require us to move to that. But we didn't want to do it immediately. So can you talk to us about what was done and what we're doing?
You bet, David. And quickly, one of the things I will say is that moving to the cloud has really done a ton of really wonderful things for us in terms of security, from putting it into the hands of professionals who work at giant companies like Microsoft and Google and Infinite Campus and Tyler. It has really kind of taken a lot of the burden away from us. having to secure our own stuff, so we can focus on other things that make a lot of difference locally. One of the downsides of that, though, is that sometimes when one of your cloud companies decides to make a change, they can do that instantly across everybody. And that's great when there's an emergency and a change has to be made. They can update the OS, they can update an application, and it updates to everybody, which is wonderful. Sometimes, though, when they do that and it doesn't quite match with our timeline, that can actually cause a little bit of chaos. And last week, that's kind of what we were about ready to see, was Microsoft, who's been, and Google for that matter too, but this is Microsoft, they've been advocating moving away from SMS text and voice MFA verifications for years. But they've kind of left that up to the customers because they know that everybody's at a slightly different place in terms of their technology, their abilities, that sort of thing. And so last week, and I really want to appreciate the fact that we had districts who felt like they could reach out to us and let us know. We were kind of informed that some letters were going out from Microsoft saying that, hey, in the next 24 hours or so, you're going to be moved away. Everyone who's using text and voice for MFA is going to be moved on to the Authenticator app. And that timeline obviously just didn't work for us. And so we were able to, within the space of just a couple of hours, get the right people on the phone from Microsoft and work through and find a solution so that we could kind of put that off and make that more of a choice that districts have. And while I absolutely agree with that direction, and that SMS runs on just our regular publicly switched telephone networks, it's never going to get any more secure than it is right now, and it's put out there in clear text. So SMS texting is never going to get more secure. It probably was not going to be an overall step in the right direction for security for us to have to make a change like that so quickly within just like 24 hours. And so we were able to kind of hold that back and make sure that wasn't going to happen, which I'm really excited about. And I appreciate everybody here at KDE and the districts and Microsoft who helped us make that happen. That was a pretty big lift, and it really made things a lot better for us. Having said that, this is the direction we want to go in towards moving to passwordless. And the sooner we can get rid of our passwords, the sooner we can get rid of relying on SMS, I think the better it'll be for all of us, to be honest with you. So sorry it had to happen that quickly. Appreciate everyone for jumping in and helping us out with that. We do have a couple of other questions in Go Soapbox. And if I could, I'd like to go ahead and throw those up, and we can just kind of briefly mention those. I believe I can share those right now.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. And so question number 4, do you belong to the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, MSISAC? This is an amazing tool, and I wanted to bring this question out here because as we were doing our August reports to our boards, a lot of folks were looking for additional information, David, about security. And one of the places I go frequently is to the MSISAC. And it is a free membership. Anyone can join, and that's all of our districts could join. You don't have to rely on KDE to join or anything like that and then just get information from us. But it is a bit of a fire hose. But I do encourage everyone to jump in and join MSISAC, and then kind of pick and choose the information that you decide to get. They have a lot of free services. They have some paid for services, a lot of things that I really don't have time to mention today, but at least get on the web, look at MSISAC and see what all they offer. You'll be able to find some information that will go into your cybersecurity health check and will help make that meaningful to your leadership there in the district. And then question number 5, this one actually relates to what we just went through. does your Microsoft 365 admin or Google admin stay up to date on messages in the message center or its Google equivalent? We have a lot of folks here who say yes, which is awesome. And when Microsoft and or Google are going to make these broad cloud changes to their systems, I can't think of a time when they haven't mentioned it here. And so keeping a close eye on that information is probably going to be very helpful. The problem is there's so much information in these message centers. It's sometimes like looking for a needle in a haystack. So you might have to customize the messages you get, and then look for the really important stuff. Some of it could impact everybody in your district or statewide. Some of it maybe not so much. Go back, and with that, David, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for sharing that information. I'm gonna, for the questions that we didn't have, we'll go soapbox, and I'm gonna bring those up. One of the questions I have for those that are watching this, I know Matt Jury sent out a note, is he said for X number of folks it's showing up that this meeting was canceled. And so part of what I'm trying to get a feel for is that, is much like I'm trying to do most stuff, is that 1% broke for 1%, or is it 99% broke for 99%? And I always will say we don't ignore the 1%, but it just helps us get a feeling of magnitude. So if you could help me out with kind of responding, does this show up in your calendar as canceled or not? That just helps us, because we obviously don't want this showing up in your meeting as canceled and not scheduling. So can you give me some feedback? Not from the KD staff level, because KD staff, all that I know of, it shows up as there. But for district staff and leaders, did this show up as canceled in your calendar? That would be very helpful to provide that feedback, so we know we have to make a correction to it or not. Let's see here. Yes, it did for me. Yes, mine was canceled. Did this show as canceled?
Something about 25 minutes before the start of the webcast. As far as I know, our staff did not, but somebody may have accidentally sent something. I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, so Phil had asked for you and your staff to kind of figure out why it would do that, because obviously we can't have that happening a half hour before. So and appreciate Matt Jury bringing that to my attention. So we got to figure out what triggered that and make sure that that's corrected before the next one. So thanks for the folks that provided that feedback there. The last item I have on the agenda is something I sent, and I lose track of time. I think that was sent you last Wednesday, a document about the Nintendo Switch. And it really is the topic is, if your district don't have a Nintendo Switch, high school sports, this doesn't really pertain to you, but wanted you to know that blog post was posted Monday morning by the Kentucky High School Athletic Association on their site. The draft was removed from it. And I was going back and forth with Rob Catron, who's their CIO of the Kentucky High School Athletic Association and leader of esports for High School Athletic Association, about a time that, okay, I was just looking at that, a time that we can meet with EdTech CIOs that have Nintendo Switch, the districts, the esport coaches of districts have Nintendo Switch, the appropriate folks in OET, and the appropriate folks in High School Athletic Association. So just so you know, you'll probably see an invite that says it's going to be next Thursday. It's going to be for an hour. And we haven't picked the time frame exact, but it'll probably be in the 11 to 1 p.m. time frame, an hour within there. Just because I got a note from Rob that says for the esport coaches, a lot of them are full-time teachers, a good number of them computer science teachers, that would be a break that they could have a discussion during the school day. So you'll see an invite. It'll be an hour slot on next Thursday. And once again, this is not for all CIOs. It just really is for those that are impacted by that have the Nintendo Switch. And basically, we're going to go over a good part of what I covered in the 40 minutes the last month. We talked about this topic and which in the blog post, but we want everybody at the same time hearing the same thing. So yeah, I see the note. So follow up, and I don't. It seems like Janice canceled for David Couch, so I got to find out what that's about and the invite. So I do want to, before we close here, because I'm going to head over to the Capitol to join Marty, is to go soapbox questions Can we bring up the ones that Bob did not bring up? We had 7 of them. I just want to briefly bring those up for the audience and for us to take a look at the responses of it. I think he did 4 and 5, but not the rest of them.
Can you see them, David?
Yes, I can.
This is school report card. This is actually the entry of data points into the school report card, and it looks like about half are complete. Others are still making progress.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Let's go to number 2.
And this is about actually the approval process for school report card. A little bit lower, but it is due. They've got till October 6th now to do that.
Okay. Go to 3.
Month we have 12 people with something planned, and 26 with that aren't quite sure.
Yeah. Bob, you need to get some more people motivated.
Yep. We
I'll
did
do what I
one.
can.
So Cody the Capitol. Everybody's knowledgeable now. Either were or they are now.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And you've got a lot of support for helping with the additional budget request.
Well, I appreciate it. I think last time we had 1 or 2 that said, I will not do anything. So it's good to see that's a 0. But please give that a great shot and don't wait too long or we've lost our window of opportunity. The time is now to jump on that. And you can share the document that was attached and add anything to that is that it helps you from a local district perspective. Well, thanks everyone joining us here in September. Hope you have a good rest of the month, and we'll see you next month. Take care.